Hello, folks. Dustin Zarni here, Democratic Elections Commissioner for Onondaga County. Today is Monday, March 7th, and I'm here. It's Commissioner in Car time. I'm here to talk to you about what's going on, and the next 2 weeks will be devoted to village elections. You may not know that if you don't live in a village, but some villages hold elections in extremely weird times. Some are in March, specifically this year, March 15th, and some are in June. And then, of course, some are in November. And this year in Onondaga County, we have 7 villages that have elections next week. We have Fayetteville and Manlius villages. These are elections that are run by the Board of Elections, though they happen in March. And then we have 5 other villages that are run by their village clerks. Fabius, Marcellus, Baldwinsville. I know I'm missing a couple here. Fabius, Marcellus, Baldwinsville. I should have brought my list with me. But there's 5 others that are doing village elections, and they are happening on Tuesday, March 15th. Most of the villages do not have contested elections. However, in Fayetteville and Manlius, the ones that we happen to be running at the Board of Elections, there are contested elections. And for Fayetteville Town Justice, Manlius Town Justice and Fayetteville Village Board. And this also happens to be a place where Democrats are running for election. Tomorrow is the absentee ballot deadline for village elections, and that's March 8th. Applications have to be in at the village clerks or at the Board of Elections for Fayetteville and Manlius by tomorrow. If they're not in, then the village does not have to provide an absentee ballot for you, and you have to show up in person. There is also no affidavit ballot. So if you're not registered to vote and you haven't updated your registration, you cannot, even though you're registered somewhere else in New York State, you cannot vote by affidavit. There is no early voting. So there's a lot of restrictions on the village elections, including the restriction of having it in March at all. We have seen that villages that have moved their elections from March to November have seen anywhere from 50 to sometimes well over 500% turnout increases in their village elections. And we've also seen higher rates of competition where people are actually running for office as opposed to not. But, that's a battle for another day. These 7 villages are actually holding their elections on Tuesday, and it's very important that you get out and vote. So if you want absentees, go contact your village clerk or contact the Board of Elections at 315-435-VOTE, or contact the portal. There's a portal up on our website at onvote.net that you can link to and request an absentee ballot via the portal. Those ballots have to be put in the mail, postmarked by Election Day. They have to be, or they can be turned into the village election day, wherever the election's being held, on the day of the election, or the Board of Elections, if the Board of Elections is running it, or the village clerks if the Board of Elections is not running it. So it's important to know we only run the Fayetteville and Manlius elections, Marcellus, Fabius, Baldwinsville. And I know there's 2 others, and I can't believe I forgot this. I'm sure I'll put it in the show notes. I'll probably think about it when I get home. And then those are the other 2 villages holding elections. Again, I don't believe there's any competition in those villages. However, write-in candidates have won in these village races before. So, you who live in those villages will know whether there's competition going on, I hope, by people having lawn signs out there and going door to door. So that's big important. Also, right before I got on air today, the State Board of Elections finally released their registration numbers for the statewide races, and there's some big jumps. And we did talk about how most of these districts became more Democratic, and now we're going to see just how Democratic they are, because now the partisan data is plugged into the districts, not just how they voted for Biden, but what the registration rates are, and it is significant. For New York 22, the old New York 24 had 15,000 more Democrats in it than Republicans. The new New York 22 has 57,000 more Democrats in it than Republicans. In the John Mannion Senate District, that was the old 50th, had 7,000 more Democrats in it than Republicans. The new 50th has 20,000 more Democrats in it than Republicans. The Rachel May District, the Rachel May District, Pam Hunter District, and Bill Magnarelli District all stayed about the same. And then the Al Sturpey District went from having 2,000 more Democrats in it to 3,000 more Democrats in it. So slightly better for Al as well. But the big jumps, of course, are Congress and in the 50th Senate. Now, before people go out, saying, aha, this is proof of gerrymandering, that is not necessarily the case. There is a court case going on. We talked about that at my last Commissioner in a Car. But just partisan enrollment changes is not indicative of it, especially if you contend that the maps 10 years ago were a Republican gerrymander. And so just making it a neutral map would show major changes in the enrollment. Also, it's going to be interesting to see whether they could say that New York 22 is a gerrymander, since the proportional shape of that district is pretty proportional, probably one of the more proportional ones in the entire map, in the sense of that it's like basically the central New York community. It's not just going off into weird areas. So it'll be interesting to see how that case is made as the court case goes forward. I will be doing a Wonky Wednesday on that, but it probably won't be until next week, because this week I'm going to be diving into the Village of Fayetteville and Village of Manlius partisan breakdowns to show you a little bit of how they've changed over time, much like I've done with towns in the past when they have elections. So check that out. That'll be on Wednesday. And then on Friday, I will have Jimmy Monto of the Onondaga County Democratic Committee talking about the candidates that the OCDC nominated and who are out walking petitions right now as we speak. So that's my Commissioner in the Car for today. I don't have a lot to share. I don't see a lot of questions in there. We had a big long one on Friday that dealt with a lot of the other issues that are going on. But that, so village elections are happening a week from tomorrow on Tuesday, March 15th. In the villages of Fayetteville and Manlius, they are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. The Board of Elections will be running those elections. For the other villages that are having elections, contact the village clerk for the information on that, because they are the ones running those elections. And also make sure that you, if you do the absentee, you apply by tomorrow, and you can apply via the portal for the Fayetteville and Manlius elections, and we will get an absentee out to you. That is our last day to do that. And there is one other thing going on today. Thank you, Michael Hunter, for reminding me. The Onondaga County Republican Party is finally having their nomination meeting. That's later tonight. They're going to nominate their slate of candidates. Yes, it's about a week into petitioning. I think they thought that the court case somehow would delay the petitioning, but that did not happen. And so by the end of tonight, we should get a look at who the Republican candidates are in each of the races, although we've had announced candidates. And then we'll see who has decided to go on and have a primary as well. So things are starting to take shape for 2022. Redistricting is done. The court case has said that we're going to be running on the lines that are in place for this year, and that if the court case goes different, then maybe they'll change them next year or maybe the year after. Candidates are announced. Primaries have been announced. Working Families Party, conservative parties are making announcements, as well as the Republicans and Democrats. So we're starting to see what the races are going to be like this year. We now have the partisan data for these new districts to see which races are more likely to be competitive. These are all important things going into the next election. Keep in touch with me on DustinZarni.com. Go and subscribe. Remember, I pay for this myself. I do not take any outside money. I'll never ask for any outside money. I will never, charge you for a subscription. But if you do subscribe, you'll get a link to all my content, including Commissioner Carr, Zoom with Zarni, and Wonky Wednesdays, as well as any election news. You're waiting for the budget. The one House bills in the budget will be coming out sometime this week, which will see how much money is being given to boards of elections. So that's another thing that we'll see and we'll talk about next week. But until then, sorry, I'm a little tired today. Until then, go to DustinZarni.com and subscribe. Throw any comments or questions in here, and I'll be happy to answer them offline. And make sure that you are getting out and voting a week from Tuesday if you're in any of the 7 villages, but especially Fayetteville and Manlius, because that is where there are contested races that the Board of Elections is running, and I know all about that. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the village halls for the respective villages. And yes, you have to go to that village hall, not somewhere else. And there is no early voting, but absentee ballot ending applications end tomorrow. Although for the villages of Fayetteville and Manlius, if we can mail out a ballot, we will continue to do so. All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day, and we will see you on Wednesday with my Wonky Wednesday. This is Village Week. We're going to be talking about the village of Fayetteville and Manlius partisan data. Bye-bye.